Yeah, no, it's all this stuff is very nifty, but and again, I'm glad these movies are out there, but it's tough. It's tough to make a solid through and through. I think at one point I've said that I've always felt like that of all the movies, I really think Back to the Future really had the least amount of issues as far as like the logic
Okay.
of
Let's do it. Let's talk about it. If you guys had to, all right. If you guys had to pick, what are your favorite time travel movies? Because Back to the Future 1 through 3, they're all on my list.
Yeah, no, definitely number two. Number two
I
is,
love
I
them.
think, my definitely top five. I'm trying to think what else, or what other standout time travel
All
movies.
right, I'll give you my list. You guys tell me if I'm missing anything. Okay, this is not
Okay.
necessarily in this order. It's kind of the order it came to me in my head, and I moved them around a little bit when I thought some were way better than others. Okay,
Hmm.
um, Terminator 1 and 2, Back to the Future 1, 2, and 3, 12 Monkeys, Looper, Avengers Endgame, Frequency, which is barely it's kind of a weird, not so time travel movie, whatever. This one, of course, Tenet, Hot Tub Time Machine, Kate and Leopold. Some people, I was trying to find some more, and somebody listed Source Code as a time machine, a time travel movie. I'm not sure if that's
I,
necessarily time travel, but it's kind of like time travel.
I would include it. Yeah.
Yeah, I put it near the bottom of my list. And then there's the more mainstream ones like X-Men: Days of Future Past, Star Trek: First Contact, Star Trek 4.
Okay, so it is a little interesting just kind of going into this thinking, okay, there are movies that involve time travel, and that and then there are movies that are about time travel.
Absolutely.
And like Star Trek 4 and uh Star Trek First Contact are easily two of my favorite movies ever.
But they're not about time travel.
Right, they're not about time travel.
Yeah.
uh but I mean, the thing is, you could even argue that the Terminator movies aren't about time travel.
I think the first one definitely is.
Uh,
More so, yeah, than the
yes,
I
yeah,
mean,
second.
with the whole ending and the loop and everything like that we were just discussing, that
right,
was
yeah,
pretty much about time. And plus, think
yeah,
about this, Matt. It's I know obviously there's all that controversy of the short story that it was loosely based off of that they didn't give credit to and whatever. But whoever deserves the credit, it's kind of irrelevant for the conversation. That was kind of like that story is like probably one of the first times where people thought of let's use time travel as like a what's the term they use a retroactive abortion. Like here's your enemy, let's just go back in time and kill them when it's what I'm saying, like that, where they just made the whole story about that. That's interesting.
I mean, well, if you're referring to predestination, they actually very prominently credited Robert Heinlein, and but
I'm never mind, forget that. Anyway, uh
okay,
no the anyway, I was making notes about that too, about the difference between a time travel movie and a movie that involves time travel. You know,
yeah,
um, I think like Primer is a time travel movie.
right,
You know, I would say even though it's not one of the greatest movies of all time, The Time Machine, the original one, is a time travel movie. You
yes,
know,
of course,
obviously Back to the Future and 1, 2, and 3, Looper is a time travel movie. 12 Monkeys is a time travel movie. Um,
right,
and then not to another distinction though, not just like Days of Future Past and Days of Future Past is kind of a time travel movie, but Star Trek
yeah,
First Contact, Star Trek 4, stuff like that, I would definitely say are just movies that have time travel in them. Men in Black 3 is another one. Hot Tub Time Machine is kind of a time travel parody of all, not really a parody, but
yeah,
a jokey movie based largely off of or referencing all those movies. But I was going to say there's another thing. I put a big distinction between time travel and like a time loop movie. Like Edge of Tomorrow is a movie that deals with time loops that the characters have to deal with, but they
yeah,
don't have the free reign to time travel. Groundhog's Day is a movie where there's time loops going on, but I wouldn't call that time travel.
Yeah, that's fair. Actually, it's funny that you bring up Looper because I do still very much enjoy Looper.
Yeah,
Uh, I I would actually put Predestination in front of Looper.
bold.
Uh,
I might
I,
as well. I was never a huge fan of Looper. I think it doesn't
uh,
completely fail, but it also doesn't completely
Looper is
succeed.
awesome. Looper is Terminator, but like from the other perspective.
Yeah, I actually don't remember it too much. I just remember some things about it bothering me.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think it was Ryan Johnson kind of like, you know, trying things as he usually does, and sometimes it works, and sometimes it half works, and sometimes it doesn't work. but
well, well,
but in this one, it
well,
half worked. I felt like.
well. I mean, the problem with Looper was that I think that Ryan Johnson, committed the cardinal sin of having two science fiction gimmicks in one movie instead of just focusing on one. In that,
You didn't you thought you felt that the inclusion of the telekinesis stuff was too much?
I think that it made the movie less perfect than it could have been.
Hmm.
But
I felt, because I totally agree with you when you use the phrase cardinal sin. I think
yeah,
that the if there's anyone out there who questions the validity of this of the concept that we're talking about, of where you're having a complex movie like a science fiction movie, and then you just ask way too much of your audience by just focusing on two big things or three big things rather than one big thing and making your whole movie about it. Like the perfect example of it is the movie Lost in Space. Like, you're making a movie
oh
based off of a
Jesus, Jew.
TV show, and you've got great cast and a pretty damn good cast and the greatest actor of all time, and you've got a really good production value and all sorts of stuff going for you, and it's a story that's supposed to be about a family getting lost in space in a space travel situation, so on and so forth. You got fertile ground to make a great movie there, and someone said, you know what this movie needs? Time travel. And then
Yeah.
everyone throws up. Anyway, so yeah, I totally agree with you that is a thing that everyone needs to be aware of and be worried about when you're making a story. I've thought about that when I watched Looper, if that was too much, the telekinesis stuff. But I feel like, to me at least, this is just my thoughts. It's already a complex movie, and he's telling a very complicated story. You need the reverse John Connor thing. Like I said, Looper is Terminator number one in reverse, and so you need as the audience need to accept the fact
Mhm.
that for whatever reason there's going to be a character in the future that is so evil and so horrible and so unstoppable that nobody can do anything about it, and that person needs to be stopped. And so Bruce Willis goes back in time to do precisely that. So then you set up that in this story, there's just little tiny bits of things where people are developing telekinesis, and they show his friend being able to levitate a coin in his hand a little bit, and they're
Mhm.
saying it's basically a bunch of gimmicks because nobody can do shit with it, you know. Aside from that moment where they explain that that's happening, and then later they show that the little boy is capable of like murdering people with his mind, all Akira style and shit. There isn't that much of it in the story, so it's really not so much in my opinion, this is just my thought, I don't think it's so much about, I don't think it's a movie about telekinesis. I don't think they spend too much time on it. It's more like just a handy tool that they use to summarize and kind of like get you from point A to point B, and just be like, look, just accept
Yeah.
this kid is capable of this, which is why in the future he's going to grow up to become this evil thing.
As far as like other time travel movies, definitely 12 Monkeys is up there for me, like in the top five. I recall seeing a movie, and I remember very little of it. It's been a long time. But this movie called Time Crimes. I think it's a foreign film, like a Spanish-speaking movie, maybe. But it's kind of like a small movie, kind of like Primer, only not like slightly bigger.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. If you ever want to check out like a mind-bending movie, I recall that one being really like messed up, like
Okay.
in an
Okay.
interesting sort of way. Time crimes. Los Cronky Crímenes. Something I think it's in Spanish, but in any case.
Yeah.
Well, let's
Yeah.
just say that I think what most of us can agree that as time travel movies go that involve time travel agents and such, that Predestination is better than Time Cop.
Yeah, I was gonna mention Time Cop as a joke, but you beat me to it, definitely.